Have you ever wondered why someone is the way they are and then met their family and immediately thought, so that's where they get it from? For most people, family is something that they seriously value, as family are the people one sees every day before going to work or school and every night before going to bed. Whether one realizes it or not, family plays a very important role in developing oneself, especially for young children and adolescents. As children and young adults navigate through life, they experience various kinds of situations that shape their perspective on life and themselves, during which they seek support in the people closest to them, typically family. Which is why handling situations with sensitivity and care is key for the healthy development of our children, as the words of a parent today can affect the lives of the children tomorrow. Today, I will be exploring the effects that family has on self-esteem, which is how someone views and values themselves as a person, along with the effects family has on one's view of the world. Although one may not realize it, self-esteem is very important for everyone because it is how one thinks of themselves, and the way someone views themselves can affect their view on life, further affecting the decisions they make. For example, someone with a higher self-esteem is likely to have a more positive outlook on life and live a happier and more fulfilled life, as opposed to someone with a lower self-esteem who is likely less happy and may not wish to better their life situation due to their emotional state. Mental health is influenced by many factors: biological, psychological, and environmental. However, family is considered to be the main contributing factor to an adolescent's health, self-esteem, and even personality. Ways that parents can affect their children's mental health and self-esteem through their parenting style. Parents are almost always attachment figures for their children. Their opinions and approval are typically sought after by their children for feelings of validation by the most important adults in their lives, their parents. Positive parenting styles that incorporate emotional warmth and approval almost always have a positive effect on the mental health of the adolescent and children. Meanwhile, negative parenting styles where parents' rejections and disapproval of their children have a negative and long-term effect on the adolescent or child's mental health. Someone with poor relationships and lower self-esteem is likely to be psychologically inflexible, which is essentially basing your decisions on your thoughts, feelings, and emotional state. Psychological inflexibility can also be very dangerous for a person, especially teenagers, because they might indulge in risky behavior which may affect them long term when in a rough emotional state. Because self-esteem has a direct correlation to decision making, motivation, confidence, and mental health, family involvement and support are crucial for healthy self-esteem and mental health in developing children and teens. The quality of the parent-child relationship is of the utmost importance as adolescents or children who have conflicts with their parents and typically have more negative interactions with their parents are more likely to have behavior problems than teenagers who have a more positive relationship with their parents. As adolescents with a positive parental relationship enables them to feel the warmth of their families and support so that they may communicate the difficulties and problems they encounter, which reduces the likelihood of negative behavior from them in the far future. Parents passing down their ideologies and prejudice tendencies is not out of the ordinary. The following are two processes in which this is done. In some instances, children directly adopt their parents' tendencies by imitating their verbal and physical expressions of prejudice. Another way children conform to their parents' tendencies regarding prejudice is by the parents indirectly feeding them negative attitudes towards certain groups of people through authoritarian parenting. This creates a strict environment for the children, which instills fear of punishment, resulting in them conforming to their parents' prejudiced ideologies to avoid conflict. However, mutual prejudice between parental figures and their children may not always be present, as several studies have found that parental influence or genetic influence is for the most part absent during adolescence, likely because teenagers aren't exactly the most obedient during that time of their lives. It is safe to assume that if prejudice is not suggested and or instilled from parent to offspring during childhood, it would be much less likely for children to follow their parents' ideologies regarding prejudice during adolescence and adulthood. It is not uncommon to see families who look alike, and that is likely due to them having similar diets. If they live in the same household, or possibly root from childhood experience carried on to adulthood, family environments play an important role in the development of the eating habits and weight status of the children. The effects that parents and possibly other family members have on the diet and nutrition of a child is of high importance because cognitive schemas are developed during childhood, and that is the period in which children are closest to their parents and likely have no other choice than to follow their parents' rules when it comes to eating. Because cognitive schemas are developed during childhood, the habits and techniques used from early childhood to adolescence could ultimately determine the weight status and well being of the individual during childhood. Since their eating habits have been present for years, they are likely not to cause a sudden shift in diet by practicing other habits. Parents influence their children in countless ways, even when it comes to financial decisions. It has even been suggested that parents' financial behavior influences how their children will manage their finances in the future. Just like parents who teach their children about making good financial decisions, they can also model unhealthy and non beneficial habits like shopping on impulse and trouble controlling their expenditures. Parents who give their children allowances and piggy banks introduce their children to the world of finance in simple ways t- to teach them about what money is and how saving is important. Children can either learn from their parents on purpose or model their parents' behavior, but whichever the case may be, the family environment to which the child is exposed to heavily influences their behavior towards their finances in the future. Along with influencing children's finances, parents can even influence their children's enculturation of gender roles. Typically, children have a clear understanding of what gender is and what each one associates with at a very young age through peers, school experience, television, and just plainly observing those around them. Since early childhood, children experience different treatment between two genders. Gathering all information from childhood children are exposed to, they determine their sense of self and what it means to be their own gender. And sometimes parents who enforce strict discipline on what each gender should be and what it should look like can prevent their children from accepting themselves for who they are if they find themselves in a situation that contradicts what the standard should be according to their parents. Which is why parental warmth and support are key factors to helping children develop a clear sense of self so that they may navigate through life with a healthy esteem derived from the support of their parents during childhood and early adolescence.